I believe all that, but the reality is what it is right now, and that you know the time that I thought I had, I more than likely won't. And so the neurocognitive part of that issue is the next steps are to see if any part of that of the cognitive issues are a progression of the primary progressive aphasia, which you know more than likely is, uh, which significantly hinders the life expectancy. So all that's a lot to swallow. It's a lot for everybody. It's a lot for Aneta. You know, I have moments where it's just, that's the last day is, we saw a movie last night. I don't know. I think was it the, I think, yeah, God's Not Dead. And no, was that it? No, I don't know. I don't know what it was. It triggered things. Doesn't matter. It's rough. I mean, it's rough when the doctors are encouraging you to start making videos for your kids. And thinking about the thought of you know the dreams I had of you know being with my grandkids. And looking forward to those moments. Again, I've said this before. I find now I'm just praying to see you know teach Cubby how to drive, or buy Juju's prom dress, or hear Cubby's voice change. It's a lot. It's a lot. So again, all this, and so why send me back for all this? And there's more I was going to say, and I'm long-winded, but Sunday. So this is the whole point. We're getting to the final point, and then I'm going to stop. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat, and I will get to the ones that are already there. And Dwayne, I think you're the only one that's still online. So if you want to say something or have comments or questions, or please let me know, and I'll bring you on. I'd love to hear from you. You don't have to go on video if you don't want to. But last Sunday, my friend Sarah was here, and I despite all this, since all this, there's a piece somehow that wasn't there before. There was something that I needed to do. All of a sudden there was something. There's things I need to do, that I needed to prepare life without me. I needed to get everything ready that I can control, to give Juju and Cubby and Aneta the tools, the habits, the discipline, sharing God's love to all that stuff, trying to fix things financially, which is difficult for me, but just creating the life that we wanted, and that will allow them to thrive when I'm gone. And not that it won't be hard or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but there are certain things that need to be done, because if I were to go now, it would be very difficult for them. So that gave me something. It also gave me the thought, and maybe I haven't said it out loud, that I'll be going home sooner than I thought. And, I know that's hard for some people to hear, that I have these two amazing kids that I'm very close to and get to spend my time with. And I'm very fortunate to be a daddy that's, so active in their lives, and we got to spend so much time with them. But I get to return, and, somehow that somehow that makes it a little bit easier. So Sarah was here, and I was just kind of getting her caught up. We haven't talked since the diagnosis, and and she was spending the night, and we were just waiting for Annette to get home. I was catching her up on things, and I brought up, why have me, you know, taste and feel and see all that. And as I was talking to Sarah, I started hearing God's voice again. I don't know how to explain this. But all of a sudden I knew that if I hadn't seen that, if I didn't have the experience in heaven and experience the beauty and joy and awe of heaven that I've been longing for ever since, if I hadn't seen that, that has been the hardest part of being here, being sent back. But now I understand that if he hadn't shown me that, I wouldn't be able to do what he's asking me to do right now, and to prepare my family for life with Jesus, and all the things that need to be fixed and addressed and in place. I wouldn't have the strength, the courage, or the will, the motivation to do those things. I would have just been swallowed up by it and wallowed, and none of that would have gotten done. And I still would have been gone. And their lives left in shambles. So it became very clear to me. Somehow, I mean, just, I'm talking to Sarah, and like, I'm hearing this, and like the light bulb went off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been, does it answer everything for me? No. Is there more to this? I'm sure there is, but it makes sense to me. I understand now. I understand why he showed it to me, because outside of that, nothing would have got my attention. Nothing would have worked. I would have done the same thing I always do, and would have screwed something up or left something unfinished. That all of a sudden I was just smiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. I mean, that's why he showed it to me. Again, there might be more to it. I'm sure I will learn that over time, but with such a weight lifted, and it made so much sense to me. And I know myself, knowing myself as well as I do, I know that that is the only thing that he could have done to get my attention, to get me to do what he's asking me to do. And I'm not saying that it's not hard. I'm still battling, exhaustion and neurofatigue, and trying to learn how to live daily with not being able to communicate sometimes, and struggling and thinking, but the path is a little clearer for me. There's something I need to do now. Now that he's asked me to build my life upon him, I am. That continues to grow. 2 weeks from now, when we're going to Chicago, and the fellow fams get in the car and going to the Toby Mac concert in Chicago. We have Elevation Nights coming up again in April. So many things, and all those are opportunities for me to do what God's asking me to do. And there's just been a weight lifted, although in a way weight added as well, but a different type of weight. But it came very clear to me of God allowed me to see and taste and feel and experience heaven in the way that I did, in order for him to use me while I'm here. And again, the realization of that when I'm talking to Sarah, I was just like, it's amazing how, again, despite my struggles and all this, he continues to do things like this, and I'm amazed when, I don't know. Anyway, there was a lot more I wanted to say, but I've kept everybody so long anyhow. I just want to let me just check this real quick, Dwayne and Rosie. And I want to talk to you guys for a second. This just came to me right before getting on here. You're here to help people lessen the fear of death. Because we don't truly die. Or yeah, Amanda, that is something that there's a lot of other things. There's other opportunities that I'm seeing. At first it was Heartbeat Radio, which I don't want to do. I've been through this before. But God, it's clearly telling me to move forward with it. But I'm seeing other opportunities, and I'm starting to, for the first time, really be able to step back from everything that's happened, and I went to heaven. You know, I was face to face with Jesus. He had his hands on my face. There's things that I just haven't been able to even approach yet. That story in itself is like, you know, so I'm starting to see that. And your comment, Amanda, I struggled with telling my mom the story. Um, and her mom saying, tell your mom I love her and I can't wait to see her. But that gave my mom something, at this late stage of her life, and something to look forward to, and things that she questioned, and gave her some peace. And others have made the same comments. It's really affected Anetta that way, Amanda, again, knowing where we're going. Randy had just said, we never know who our story will affect, but God does. And one of the other moments I had with there's been several revelations that God has done things over the course of this. And again, my struggle, the other question of what he meant by there's still so much for me to do. Part of that answer came in a moment at Starlight this summer, in just a remarkable Sunday. We started doing these faith gatherings, faith connections, and it was a smaller group, and Randy and Pam, who are with us tonight, shared their story, and it's their story to tell, but I won't go into that. But something was happening in the middle of this story that all of a sudden I was shaken, and I was shaking, and I knew that I was in the presence of God at that moment, and I was hearing Randy's and Pam's story, and hearing these seeds that they planted in their kids at an early age, not knowing if anything's going to stick, and later in life, when one of their children was struggling, he called on Jesus when he needed to, and God was there with me at that moment. Jesus was sitting right there and he said, "See, look at that couple. This is one of the reasons I sent you back." And this was right after the experience of feeling God work in my family on the drive to Elevation Nights, and understanding those seeds that Pam and Randy were talking about, that I'm planting those seeds now, that I may not see the fruits of them now, but when, and again, my job is now, knowing that I'm leaving, is to make sure that they have that they too rely on Jesus and call on Jesus when they need to. And that moment was just, I couldn't even stand. Everybody kind of got up and left. "You all right, Jay?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm good." Just, I couldn't even stand. That same thing as this. I waited so long to hear any word from God on that and why He sent me back, and that was the first the first thing I had heard in that regard. He'd done all kinds of other things, but that particular question was, and that was part of it. He did specifically say, "This is part of the reason I sent you back." Is that I was planting the seeds that He wanted me to plant. So thank you for bringing that up, Randy. I didn't know if I was gonna have a chance to say that. So yeah. I if you have any